So you want to know how I organize my yarn stash? Well, I'm going to show you everything today about how I organize and store all of my yarn in this video. Let's dive into it. Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kristen. I'm the maker behind DoSo Knits, a channel, a little part of the internet where I share with you guys how knitting has interwoven into my life. So I asked you guys on Instagram what video you wanted to see this week, and you wanted to know how I organize and store my yarn stash. So all my yarn stash is right here behind me, and we'll dive more into it in just a little bit, but I have mostly a Kallax bookshelf from IKEA and then some shelves above for some other things as well, and I'm excited to show you guys how I organize all of my yarn. Yeah, let's just dive right into it and I'll show you what I have. So I moved here a little bit closer so that you can see it. We're just going to start at the top and we will move down. So on this whole wall in my office is where I keep most of my yarn stash. This is most of my new skeins of yarn. Anything that's been used or is caked up is in a separate area, which I will show you. But all the new pretty skeins are over here. I have this Kallax bookshelf, which I got from IKEA. I have the 4x3 size bookshelf, mostly because in our apartment, the 4x4 would have not fit. So I had the 3 standing up. But now I have 4 across and 3 down. And it's the white one. So that's where I keep all my skeins. But then above it, we also got both of these shelves from IKEA as well. I think they're the LAC shelves. And these I just use to kind of display some extra things. So you can see first on the top here, I have a cute little Swift. This is like a antique Swift that my mom found at a thrift store. So it is broken right there, but I think it's pretty cute. It's not very functional. There's nothing to like hold the pieces out, and especially since this one is broken, but I think it's really cute to have on display in here and a nice piece of history. And then I have my Capricorn mug. I am a triple Capricorn, per my colleagues at work who are more astrologically more in tune. I'm a triple Capricorn, but I have warm houses. So anyway, in here is my spinning oil. This was left on the ground on a basket, and Sherlock decided it looked like a snack. So now it is wrapped in tape, but it still leaks a little bit. So I've put it in this little mug. And then in here I have some of my Katrinkles spinning tools. I have a wraps per inch and like an S and a Z turn type of thing. So this just sits up here because it's cute. And then up here I have my Toft kit. I have some cones of yarn that I bought for my weaving, and then I have started stashing my hand spun yarn right up here because I don't know, it feels like it should be somewhere separate from my like bought yarn. So I've been putting it up top. And then this is my Lazy Kate for spinning, so when I ply my singles together, that's my Lazy Kate, and then on there are my bobbins from the yarn that I just plied. So that is the top shelf, just something kind of cute. And then we have the middle shelf. So on the shelf, I have a cute little necklace, and then I have this really cute basket that I got from a German market. Sometimes I will put like a sock or something and carry it around. There's nothing in here right now, there's just some twine, but it's cute, it just lives here. I have a couple darning mushrooms. I just have these out. These are made by my stepdad Lee. Fancy Tiger Crafts carries this one. So a couple darning mushrooms. This was the prototype and it was just too small. And then here is some single skeins of yarn. This is my February palette a part of Hoga Canyon's Patreon is you can pull a palette, is something she encourages us to do. And I've done it to just kind of inspire, see what February means to me. And if I want to pull from something, it's just nice and it's out. And if I don't have a palette here, I don't really know what I would have. So it's nice. I like it. And then I have this cute little drawer system, which has some extra notions and things, easy access. And then a couple little cups from a box of Hoga from a homespun house. I think they're too small to drink out of, so I just have them on display. And then the top shelf is where we will go into some baskets. So the first thing I have here is this cute little print that I got. It's called It's Not Hoarding If It's Yarn. I think it's pretty cute. And then we have basket 1. So I use this basket to store finished objects to show you guys on my next podcast. So when I'm between episodes, I put the projects in here that I need to show, because otherwise I will forget. So like right now there's the lisle cap and the yarn in there. So that just lives in there. And that's what basket 1 is for. So then basket 2, this is where I put new yarn in for the month to show on my stash in and stash out videos. So in here right now, I have each of my Heritage from North Bay Fibers. I have one of each color. I put the rest of them in the cubby. It just depends what I do. I was running out of space a little bit, so I moved them down, and I can show each color on that video. And then also sitting here is my January Fiber Club from Nest Fiber Studios. You guys are getting a little peek at my stash in for this month. So that's where these live, just so they are also just somewhere separate. So when I go to film that video, I don't have to like think about it. It's just all separated out. And then we'll move over here. So over here is this little ivy plant. He doesn't like being in too much sun, so we're trying out some new spots to see if he likes it over here. But then I have a little plastic trash can. He's kind of tucked away behind the plant because it's not super cute to look at. And that's where I put all of my scraps and like leftovers. So the little ends that I cut off from projects, any fiber fuzz from my spinning, I put it in there. And then in my closet over here, I have a big box where I put all of my scraps, and then one day when I have enough grams, I will be mailing them to Hedgehog Fibers, because when you mail your scraps, they will give you a coupon based on the amount that you send them. So I've been collecting for like, I don't know, 2 years now, and I still haven't sent anything, but it's nice to have a place to put all of your yarn ends, spinning fiber that you don't know what to do with. They even take thread from like my sewing. Basically anything that they can put in their Tweety yarn, they will take. It's all on their website. I'll try to link it down below too. So that's what I'm trying to do there. And now we'll move over to the actual yarn cubbies. So then we have my actual yarn cubbies. So I have 8 cubbies, 2 rows of 4 across, that have the yarn kind of exposed on display, whatever you'd like to say. And then I have 4 baskets along the bottom, which is where I just put some of the less aesthetically pleasing to look at yarn, just because they don't lay as nicely. So these first 2 cubbies are where I put my single fingering weight skeins. This is my sock yarn, any singles yarn that I have, anything that's fingering weight that is not self-striping or a sock set is in these 2 cubbies. Most of the palette that is on that shelf above is pulled from these 2 cubbies, because these are things that I can put into shawls or single socks. They're just here. They don't necessarily have plans for them. They're all just fingering weight, single skeins of yarn. Most of them are sock yarn. I have quite a bit and not a lot of plans for a lot of them. I do think I might make like a Vertices Unite soon, but these are my fingering weight single skeins of yarn. And then in these 2 cubbies, these are the other 2 on the top, this is also fingering weight yarn. This is a cubby of self-striping yarn. Most of it is from Does It Vista Dye Works, but I also do have some nomadic yarns in here as well. And then the other half is sock sets. So sock sets are fingering weight skeins that come with mini skeins usually that coordinate and go with them. A lot of the ones in here are these like Garçon ones, or I have quite a few Patreon sock sets from a homespun house. So I like to just keep those separate because sometimes you just don't want to think about pairing, but you want a coordinating sock that goes together, and those are nice to have. I just liked having them separate. And then this cubby is my single skein cubby of sport and DK yarn. I think there's also some worsted in here. It's kind of a hodgepodge, but like these are DK, 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 lots of DK. I have my Spin Cycle Sport. These are the only worsted weight skeins in here, but they just fit nicely. So anything from sport, DK, or worsted, kind of single skeins, kind of live in here. I do have some worsted weight in another cubby as well, so we'll go down to that one next. So this is also kind of a hodgepodge cubby. Most of this second shelf are sweater quantities, shawl quantities. Yarns that I don't have single skeins of kind of go on this shelf. I do have a couple fingering weight skeins that have like duos, but those are in that top layer. This is like 3 or more sweater quantities, shawl quantities worth of yarn, except for this cubby. This cubby, this bottom bit, we have some, well, the Andes sweater quantities here. And this is a sweater quantity of Aran weight yarn. But this has also just kind of become my overflow worsted weight yarn cubby. I have lots of wool of the Andes kind of single skeins. Kind of here, I have like 3 skeins that I got from a knit crate box. So it's like a half sweater quantity box and a half single worsted weight skeins. I probably could go through this and move some of those worsted weight single skeins up into this one. Just haven't done that yet. That might be something I do after recording this because I do have more room here than I did before. So that might prove beneficial. So then we'll move on to our sweater quantity cubbies. So these are 2 of my sweater quantity cubbies. This one is a little more organized. I have, wool of the Andes Sport here. These ones are still in a bag. I just never took them out because since they're so small, sometimes doing the 2 layers front and back can be kind of tedious. So just left these 10 in a bag. I have a 5 skeins of DK weight here from Hedgehog Fibers. It's not necessarily enough for me to do a sweater with, so I'll probably end up doing a shawl, especially since I don't necessarily want to do a super wash sweater. But this is one of my favorite colors, and I can't get rid of it. I will do something amazing with it. I do think I might have found a shawl this morning that'll work, so I'm excited to see if it will. And then I have a sweater quantity of this knit crate yarn. This was probably one of my first sweater quantities that I bought. I bought it in Germany. From a knit crate box, I bought some of the extras, and I really, really love this color. I did talk about this yarn in my Q video with a plan that I have to make like a t-shirt because I only have 500 gram DK skeins. And then I have 2 different colors of sweater quantities of West Yorkshire Spinners Jacobs DK. I pulled the yarn label off of this one. So it's this, the fleece, West Yorkshire Spinners fleece. It's 100% Jacobs DK. And I had bought this to go in the East Wind jacket. I still really want to make that jacket. I got inspired by Kat Weaver of Heather and Hop. She made a East Wind jacket with this and another mohair. And so that is what I want. And I have 2 different colors because it was such a good deal. This yarn is not very expensive. So I bought both colors. Only one of them is slotted for my East Wind, but I can never remember which one I have slotted and which one I haven't, which is why my Q is so helpful. But another one will become a sweater eventually. I just couldn't pass it up. And this is I bought a white of the Jacobs too, because why not? And then this cubby is more worsted weight and DK sweater quantities. I have my 2 skeins remaining for my forager sweater by Melody Hoffman that I'm knitting. I pull skeins as I need them when I'm knitting a sweater. I don't cake all of them up at one time. I wait until I'm about to finish one, and then I come and I grab the next one. For me, it just feels like a next step. It feels nice to just come and grab a new one, and I don't know, I like it. I like seeing it dwindle, and I don't necessarily have huge project bags, so I also don't want to spend a ton of time caking all of them up at the beginning because there's a potential of me changing my mind, the sweater getting frogged, so I just pull one at a time. And then in here is the rest of my yarn for my Heritage Harbor. So most of the rest of this cubby is that undyed merino that I'm using in my Easy V sweater. It's a yarn that I got in Germany. They don't have labels. They look just like this. It's just like a DK to worsted weight, worsted spun yarn, undyed, all natural. It was a really good deal. I bought sweater quantities of this dark charcoal, sweater quantities of this dark brown, a sweater quantity of this light brown, and then 1 single skein of all the other colors just to have in case I wanted to do color work or a hat. And then I also have a couple skeins of this really drapey, this is Aldine Wool's Chill. It's also a knit crate yarn. I bought 5 skeins of this because it's heavy. It's 150 yards for the 100 grams, but it is a worsted weight because it's 90% Surrey and 10% cashmere, and it's gorgeous. And I bought it to do the hipster shawl, but I've since reevaluated, and I don't think the hipster shawl is like the shawl for me, but I will probably still put these 5 skeins into a gorgeous worsted weight shawl. If you know of any gorgeous worsted weight shawls that would lend itself to a really drapey yarn, let me know in the comments, because I am on the hunt for a new shawl pattern, so I'd love to know if you know one. Okay, and then the fingering weight sweater quantities. This is probably my favorite cubby. This is my fingering weight sweater quantities / shawl quantities. I think this might be my favorite cubby because there's a lot of green, and apparently I'm gonna show you all of them because that's where I'm going. So I have a fade set from Stranded Dye Works. I think this is going to be my next Vertices Unite. I think it's gorgeous. It has some nice low contrast sections, but like I will probably pair these two together, and have this one as a standalone. This has been sitting in my stash for a while because I didn't know what I wanted to do with a fade set, and I think that Vertices Unite is going to be gorgeous. I then also have a 4 skein fade from Needles at the Ready, also kind of like a greeny yellow. And now we have a little more eyesight here. These 3 are a set from Road Trip Sock Yarn, which I've slotted to do a shawl with. I have 3 skeins here from previously Nerd String, now Salty Blonde Fibers. This is one of my favorite colors. I have enough to do a short sleeve tee, probably like the Salty Air tee by Samantha Guerin, or I might do the Coffee Run collar, which is also by Samantha Guerin, because I have a really pretty mohair that could go with this. I also have a set to do a half and half triangles wrap out of Linen Quill in 2 different shades of green. I have a sweater quantity of finger weight yarn from Leading Men Fiber. It is a BFL blend. It's amazing. This is one of the colors that I don't know if it is my color because it's this really deep maroony red. So I don't know if it's one of my colors. And then I have this beautiful Studio Darnie, which I bought to do a shawl from the 52 Weeks of Shawls book. But again, that's also one that I don't know if that shawl is for me, and I think 3 skeins could make a short sleeve fingering weight top or something else as well. This fell out when I pulled out the yarn. I have these scattered all throughout my cubbies here. They're just cedar balls to keep the moths away. I've not had any problems with moths yet, knock on wood, but I do have those kind of stashed throughout these just as an extra layer. So then we get into the real behind the scenes mess of this. The baskets on the bottom. Some of these are kind of organized and some of them are not. So in these is typically my cakes or donuts of yarn that don't, like these are nice in skein form. And so typically in these are those ones that don't lay like this. Other than they're ones that are more like this, but my Wool of the Andes, I have so much that it just is up here. But most of the other ones are down here, and this is definitely an out of sight, out of mind kind of category. I do forget that I have these. I forget to look at them. So it is something that I can forget that I have these, but let me show you them. So this is basket one. I hope you guys are ready for this. Basket one, I have a sweater's quantity of fingering weight in here, but they're tiny little donuts. I have Ecco Pono from Lana Grossa. Half of them are in these little cakes because I frogged a sweater. So I have all of this. And then the rest of this in here is Knit Picks palette. I have a lot of this color, this gray. It is Marble Heather, and I have a lot of this Shire Heather. They just don't stack nicely because they're these little donuts, so putting them in here is pretty nice. And then since this basically all fingering weight, again, it's still basically sweater quantities. So I have the palette, I have this cotton and linen yarn, and then my Ecco Pono, which is, I also have enough to do a sweater with. And like every time I pull this out, I am sad I haven't worked with it yet. And these are also from IKEA. I splurged and got the nice hand-woven rattan baskets because I think they're cute. Okay, basket two. This one's more of a hodgepodge. Most of this over here is just full skeins of yarn. I keep my scraps somewhere else. But for some reason in this basket, I have decided to put the remainder of my Knit Picks Dishy. I have a half-done dishcloth here, and a partial used Knit Picks multi, and then a full skein of another one. I don't know why I shoved it in there. I did recently reorganize, and so I have kept my cotton somewhere separate, so I guess I just threw it in here because. The rest of this is kind of still some more fingering weight land. I have these really cute skeins from GGH. These are 100% baby alpaca. They are absolutely luxuriously soft. I love them. I plan to make a KAL out of them, but then every time I think that I will, I second guess and want to use them for something else. But they are so soft, and they're very autumnal. I love them. I will love working with them. I just haven't done a project with them yet. And then the rest of this box is Holstgarn Super Soft in the fingering weight. I have a good amount of this color. I have a good amount of this color. I should have a sweater quantity of this color. And then I have some one-off skeins. So I have like this white and this light blue and this turquoise. I've really loved working with the Holstgarn Super Soft, and I stocked up on a couple different colors when we went to Stephen and Penelope in Amsterdam, and they're fingering weight, so I have enough to do some like either t-shirts or like short sleeve shirts. I think I might, some of them I even have enough to do like a long sleeve cardigan if I wanted to, and like hold it with a mohair. I just haven't decided. I've pulled them out a couple times to maybe use in projects and then just haven't. Again, this is one, especially now since they're in this basket, they're out of sight, out of mind. I typically forget that I have them, but they are in here. So those are those. Okay, box 3. We're slowly getting more and more organized as we go, I promise. I'm actually gonna probably combine box 3 and 4 together because they are pretty similar. This is my Regia and German sock yarn. Before we left Germany, which if you don't know, if you're new here, my husband and I used to live in Germany because he is in the military. We moved to Denver about 2 years ago. And so when we knew we were moving, I had recently picked up knitting and stocked up on like this German yarn here, but then also stocked up a lot on Regia and Opal sock yarn. These sock yarns in Germany are so cost effective and easily accessible. You can just get them at the grocery store. Honestly, literally you can get them at the grocery store when you are grocery shopping. So I have a lot of them here. Also in one of these is all my Felici sock yarn from Knit Picks. So let me see if I can dig down. So the first ones I have is I got a good amount of this merino yak from Regia. It's a 4-ply sock yarn, but it is wool, polyamide, and yak. They're very soft. They have a really cute heather to them. So I have a couple skeins of these. Again, they're that donut form that don't just stack as well. This is the fourth one. And then my overflow Regia yarn is in here. Regia and Opal. And then the rest of this cube is Knit Picks Felici. They just don't stack well again, and they're all in here. I stocked up when they did, you know, they do the color releases and they don't repeat them, and I'm a sucker for exclusivity, and so I have a ton of Felici, and they're really great to knit for my husband. They wear really well, they're not super expensive, they're very soft, I like knitting them, the striping is fun, and I just have a lot of them. I also bought some stroll to pair as heels, cuffs, and toes. Man, I don't know, something about Knit Picks, like this stroll and this Felici is so soft. They are superwash merino for these, and the stroll is fine superwash merino. It's luxurious. I could see I might have to get a sweater out of these, so yeah. I really do have a soft spot in my heart for Knit Picks. I think it is really excellent quality yarn for the price that you pay. You can get non-superwash at a great deal and make some budget-friendly sweaters. And yeah, I will continue to stock up from them more and more often. I mean, I have so much Wool the Andes in my stash just because they have a sale. I will stock up on a sweater quantity because I can get a sweater's worth with like $30. So make sure I have an affiliate link for Knit Picks, so if you ever want to buy something from them, if you use my link, I get just a little bit of a kickback, and no pressure, no extra charge to you, but just so you know, if you want to help support the channel. I love Knit Picks, and honestly, like, they don't pay me to say that. So yeah, that is that drawer. And then I do have some of that Regia in here that doesn't fit in this second cube. So at the top of this cube is my Lang Yarns Yawool. This is really great for like colorwork socks, and they come with a reinforcement bobbin in the middle of these little tiny skeins, and they're so baby and cute. I love them. So I have many colors. I couldn't even grab them all. I have this many. I love them. And then I have this. This is a socks box. This is 2 self-striping skeins of yarn that will make this pair of socks. This was one of my first sock purchases from Germany. I got 2 of these sock boxes because they were on clearance. I did knit the first one and then frogged it because the sock was too big, but it was my first escapade into knitting socks for Shane, and I haven't broken into this one yet. And then I will not be pulling all of these out of this box, but it's basically 8 across, 8 layers, like 8 in a layer, and they're just layered down. I have many different Regia and sock yarns in here. These are like my go-to yarns for knitting for gifts because I know they're hard wearing, and I know if they get thrown into the washing machine, these socks are going to survive. So I'm kind of just holding them for whenever people ask for some like gift knits. Like if they want a pair of socks, I'm just kind of holding on to those for those moments. Sometimes I will, there are a few in here that like are reserved for me or for Shane. That is what I bought them for. But all in all, these are my go-to gift socks along with the Felicia as well. Both of those I think, because they're budget friendly and I know they're hard wearing and are going to last. So I like to reserve those for that. And yeah, that's the end of these cubbies. So then I've moved over slightly past my yarn shelf. This is my last basket, basket 3. This is where I put new yarns and things that I need to photograph to add to my stash in Ravelry. So they live on top of this light box, which if you want to know how I add my stash to Ravelry, I'll link it up above. But that's where these are. So up here right now I have my newest hand spun and some really pretty new roving that I bought that I'm really excited to dig my spinning hands into. So all of these are up here because I need to take photos of them before I put them away, but I will take photos of them and then they move back to that other basket to be shown on the stash in and stash out video. Okay, so now you guys have seen the full skeins, but now we're gonna dive into the closet and I'm gonna show you where my scraps live. So before we dive into my scraps, I want to show you guys this. This is my secret. This is a cart of yarn, as you might be able to tell. This is yarns that have been caked up from projects that I frogged, from projects that I didn't finish, from yarns that I just caked up because I thought I was going to start it and then didn't. So this is why I don't cake up yarn, because then I get a cart of shame. A cart full of cake shame. This one is just because it's a gumdrop ball. It just doesn't fit nicely over there. But then I have, like, I caked this up to knit socks and never did. And all of this. This is that German merino yarn. I have 2 giant cakes like this because I knit a weekender and ended up being like 60 inches across. So I frogged it. I think that was before the channel. And I have the leftovers here. I never even re-skeined it and washed it. So that's probably something I need to do before I ever knit with this again. I kind of just want to knit a Harlow sweater with it. This is some Regia yarn because I tested a sock and only knit the first one. I have a sock set that I caked up. Sock yarn for a shawl that I frogged. This is that cotton linen yarn. I had started the sweater and I frogged it, put in a cake. This was my everyday slouchy beanie that I frogged. I have a couple of the mini skeins that go with these main skeins. I have yarn that I caked up to do another Coast Along shawl by Samantha Guerin. Haven't done it yet. I cast it on and put it in a bag, ripped it out, just because I knew I wasn't working on it anytime soon. And then I bought these 3 skeins to do a pair of colorwork socks and then never did them. So yeah, this is my cart of shame, my cart of pre-caked yarn. It lives in the closet, so again, this is one of those out of sight, out of mind. I typically forget that they're there. The top shelf is not shame though. This is the fingering weight superwash scraps that I've pulled that I need to put into my cozy memories. So I used to pull off 5 grams of each one and then put them in a basket, but that started to feel unmanageable, and now I'm adding them in as I finish projects. But I do have a little backlog, so I just, each week when I'm trying to add more, I can come grab one, work the cozy memories square, and then this can go into the stash bins that I have, which is what I'm going to show you next. This is the last stop of my yarn stash store. This is my closet, and this is where I keep all of my scrap yarn. So in this closet I have 2 3-drawer Rubbermaid bins. And then I have some cubbies and some boxes. Yeah, so in these drawers, this top one, this is fuzz. This is mohair, this is Surrey. All of it lives in this drawer. So this next drawer is mini skeins. They're mini skeins from Swaps. And then I have my Nora George advent calendar in a box. And I have my 12 Days of Yetis from the Garçons from this year in here as well. This just wasn't full, so I stuffed other things in there. Drawer 3. This is mini skeins. This is Row 1 mini skeins. This is Nora George mini skeins. This is mini skeins I dyed. It's just all of my mini skeins. There's a lot of them. I don't know what to do with them all. I collected them for contrast heels, cuffs, and toes, and I never used them for that, so I have a ton. Also, they're mini skein sets. They're my Homespun House sets and Homespun House single minis. Lots of mini skeins. Then we get into my actual scraps. So my first drawer down here is my fingering weight scraps. So anything, I think there's fingering and sport in this drawer. So that's what that is. Then the next drawer is my self-striping. Desert Vista Dye Works leftovers. There's so many of them because I've done that knit along for 2 years now. So they have their own drawer. And then the bottom drawer is my leftovers of worsted weight DK yarn. I don't really have any leftovers of bulky. I don't really knit with bulky. So these cubbies are just where my leftovers go to live. And they're pretty organized, I think. And I did just pull leftovers for a project, a secret project that I can't tell you, but I did pull from this leftovers. So go me. This box is my spinning supplies. It has put my Lazy Kate in here. I put my bobbins in here. That's all in here. This box is my a Homespun House Advent from last year, my non-superwash Advent. This is a hybrid knitting project. And then I have 2 rows of these boxes up top. Most of them are empty. I have 6 total. Let's look. I know what this first one is. This is where I keep my roving. This is all the roving I had before this month. I have since brought in 4 more things of 4 ounces of roving. They will be going in here. But I had to show them to you on the stash video. This one. This is my drop spindle and random roving supplies. I have a little bit of yarn on this drop spindle. This drop spindle is just honestly, I think it's too big for me. But I have some random roving in here in case Shane ever has the urge to do some needle felting or I need a little extra roving. It's in those. In those there. Box 3. It's empty. Box 4. This is my secret stash of Christmas yarn. This is all my Christmas sock sets and Christmas sock yarn. And yeah, I'll bring it out at Christmas time again. I don't know. I don't feel like I need Christmas yarn out all year long, so I'll knit Christmas socks next year at Christmas time. Box 5, it's empty. I also think box 6 is empty. These boxes are also from IKEA. They're just paper. They're pretty cheap. If you can't tell, I think the one underlying common thread throughout this video is that I really like baskets and containers to hold things to help keep them organized. Yeah, so we have 1 for roving, 1 for drop spindle and random roving, a Christmas box, and 3 empty ones, which will probably start holding roving in the future. But yeah, this is my leftovers that I have. And that is all of the yarn that I have and how I organize my yarn stash. So that is the end of this video. How do you guys organize your yarn stash? Did you enjoy this? Does it surprise you how I organize things? Let me know any of your thoughts down in the comments down below. This is my first time kind of doing one of these more casual tour kind of video, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit the like and thumbs up. If you want to know when I post my future videos, hit subscribe. If you'd like more behind the scenes, feel free to join the Patreon. That will be linked down in the description box below as well. But all in all, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was insightful and you gained something from it. Let me know how you organize your stash. Do you have a cake cart of shame? Let me know. I'll see you guys again very soon. Thank you as always for clicking. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. I hope you've put a little bit of love in every stitch you're making today. And I'll see you again next week for a podcast episode. I'll see you very soon. Bye.